your home router. It sucks. Like, get rid of it now. But why does it suck? Well, it's probably slow and it's insecure, and worst of all, it's not very fun. That's why we're going to replace your home router with something like this. Something very secure, something very fun, pfSense. But first, let me tell you about our sponsor, Red Hat, and their upcoming event, Ansible Fest 2021. Now, if you don't know what Ansible is, it's an amazing way to automate your infrastructure, networking, systems. Oh my gosh, I love it. In fact, I've made a few videos about it already, so it's obviously a no-brainer for you to attend their virtual event on September 29th and 30th. It's virtual, so jump in there. Now, I don't know if you know this, but automation's kind of taking over the industry, so any chance you can get to expand your automation skills, take it, and this is a key event to do that. You're gonna hear some crazy informative sessions from leaders in the industry. You'll also get to learn from your peers, people that do the same thing you do, which is probably the coolest part because you got all these people and all these organizations doing automation. From small to large, they're doing some crazy stuff and you get a chance to see that and learn from it. So yeah, you don't want to miss this if you care anything about automation, which if you don't care about automation, then what are you doing? Link below, September 29th and 30th. Again, it's virtual, so check it out. pfSense is a beast. This thing does everything. It's awesome. pfSense is router and firewall software. It's free, it's open source. And did I already mention it's a beast? Yes. This sucker does everything. Yeah, it's gonna protect your network. IDS, IPS, snort, all kinds of stuff. It's got you more than covered on the security stuff. It's got your back. But it also has a ton of fun stuff just built into it, like dynamic DNS. Yeah, just built in, you just turn it on. You can also send all of your network traffic over a VPN provider like NordVPN or private internet access. Again, it does everything, but the best thing it gives you is control and the ability to have fun with your network, which is awesome. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to set this sucker up. We're gonna replace that dumb home router you got. Throw it in the trash, burn it, I don't care. Beat it with a bat Office Space style. Yeah, do that. Actually, no, we can still use it. Don't worry, I'll talk about it here in a moment. First, we'll start with the basics, like how to get pfSense set up. What do you need to actually do all this? And then we'll do a basic setup. It's really fast, super easy. Then we'll have some fun, making some awesome config changes that will get you started down a crazy path of just network goodness. So I'll show you things like port forwarding, dynamic DNS, and the coolest thing ever, forwarding all your traffic over VPN. I'm gonna walk you through two providers, private internet access and NordVPN. I'm actually using both. It's super cool. So now, what do you need to do this? Well, first, just know that pfSense is software, which means you need to install it on something. Now for this, you do have a few options. I chose this appliance right here. This is the ProtectLi Vault, and it's a bit of a beast. It's a little overkill actually. It costs about $350, which if you can get this, that's fine, but don't let it scare you away. There are cheaper options. Like this smaller guy here, you can pick him up for $170. Or you can go with this little guy right here from Netgate, which is actually the official company that runs pfSense. This will run you about $200. Now again, you've got options. The cool thing about pfSense is you can pretty much install it on any computer hardware. And before you ask me, no, you cannot do it on a Raspberry Pi. I tried. But if you want, you can install it on your laptop or your computer right now. It can be a virtual machine. And as long as you have enough network interfaces, you're golden. I actually used to run pfSense as a virtual machine on my VMware server. So don't let not having an appliance like this stop you. You can virtualize the sucker and run it. Now, once you have where you're going to install pfSense, let's talk about your network and how it's going to be designed. Now, this isn't required, but highly recommended. You'll want a little switch here, or a big switch like I have right here, but whatever your taste is, whatever. It can really be any crappy old switch, but I do recommend getting a managed switch that supports VLANs, because at that point, it'll really unlock some cool stuff you can do with your pfSense router. Now, this guy right here is from TP-Link. He is a managed switch that does support VLANs, and he's only about $22. I'll have links for all of this below. Now, as far as what you need, that's pretty much it. Oh, no, you do need some coffee though. Did I mention that? You gotta have coffee for anything you do in IT. It's just required. NetworkChuck.coffee, check it out. Now, how you throw pfSense into your network can vary based on what you have. I'm not gonna go over every option, but in a lot of cases, you're gonna see something like this. You'll have your home router. And that home router has a lot of stuff going on. It does everything. It's your router, it's your Wi-Fi, it's broadcasting your wireless connection, and in a lot of cases, it's operating as your modem, which is how your router gets internet connection from your ISP or your internet service provider. So again, that's probably built into your router. If that is the case, here's what you can do. Just take a cable, Ethernet cable, not just any kind of cable, Ethernet cable, plug it into your router, and then plug the other end into your WAN port on your pfSense firewall. Ideally, you'll want to put your existing home router into bridge mode, if it supports it. And I'm not gonna cover how to do that here. Oftentimes, just plugging another router into it and rebooting it will just put it into bridge mode automatically. But for all of that, consult your router documentation, talk to your ISP, they should have something to help you do that. Now, if you don't wanna do that, you don't have to, but here's what will happen. Your WAN port on your pfSense firewall here will get a private IP address. instead of a public one, which is what you ideally want. This can work. I'll show you how to do it here in a moment. It's not ideal though, so if you can, put it in bridge mode. Now, in the case that your router does not have a modem built in, and you have a separate device operating as your modem, things are a lot simpler, which is the case for me right now. Just plug that stinking modem right into your WAN port, and it gets a public IP address, and you're done. And then finally, for your LAN port, which is what your devices are going to connect to, you can plug that sucker right into your switch or just directly into your computer if you're just kind of playing around right now. But ideally, you plug it into a switch. Now, one last consideration before we start playing around and having fun with this thing, and that's wireless. pfSense really shouldn't run your wireless in your house. Something else should do that. Ideally, if you're like me, you're going to have separate wireless access points. I'm running UniFi, and that will totally work, and it's awesome. Now, you can also do this. You can take that old router and repurpose it as an access point. You can put it into AP only mode, plug that into your switch, and it will be an access point for you. There are some articles on how to do that. I'll put those links below, but those are all the considerations. Get your coffee ready. Let's start configuring pfSense right now. Now again, you can install pfSense on a lot of things, but for the sake of time, I'm going to show you how to do it on this appliance here. But the good news is it shouldn't be very different on other hardware. In fact, if you've ever installed any kind of operating system on any kind of device, including your computer, it's going to feel like this. So here we go. First thing we'll need is a USB flash drive, which if I didn't mention that before, oh, that was cool. I didn't even mean to do that. Like a wizard. If you do need a USB flash drive. So have that, and let's go download pfSense. I got a link below. Here we're going to select our architecture. It's going to be AMD 64, and the installer will be a USB memory stick installer. Console, we're going to do VGA, and then mirror, choose the location closest to you. Hey, Austin, because I'm in Dallas. Here we go. And click on download. Perfect time for a coffee break. Now, adding to the list of things I keep forgetting to mention, you will need a monitor and keyboard to walk through the installer on this sucker. So I'm gonna plug my stuff in right now. Monitor, this thing has 2 HDMI ports, which is killer. And keyboard. My download is complete, and now I need to write that sucker to a USB flash drive, the one I have here. So I'm gonna download Rufus for Windows. For Mac OS or Linux, you can use Balena Etcher. But anyways, I'll download Rufus right here, run that sucker, gonna plug my flash drive in, and no, it's not a bad USB, so I'm fine. Make sure you use one that you buy, not one you find off the street, because these suckers are bad. Video up here somewhere. Something just fell on me. I thought that was a spider. Anyways, so I'll select my device, I'll select my image, which was the one I just downloaded, and I'll click on start. Yeah, it's gonna erase everything, I know. Yeah. Okay, do your thing. And mine is finished. Gonna go grab it and plug that sucker into my appliance. There we go. And then we'll plug the power in, and she'll start coming up here in a moment. All right, this should boot right in, and this should be very quick. Yes, I want to install pfSense. Let's go. Default key map, yes. Auto ZFS, yes. Install, yes. Stripe is fine, yes. And then I'll select where to install it. It's gonna be on that Protectly 32 gig mSATA. Select that with my spacebar, hit enter for okay. Last chance, I know. Let's do this. And it's gonna be wicked fast. Time for a quick coffee break. It's done, don't want to make changes. No, go ahead and reboot that bad boy, and we're good. So at this point you can unplug your monitor, keyboard, and all that jazz, which I'm going to do, and USB flash drive. Don't you like that? I love when things have noises. Okay, it's ready. And as you can see on my screen here, it's got an IP address on the LAN of 192.168.1.1. Remember that, we're gonna access it on that IP address, which means it's now time to plug in our network. So, I'll plug in my LAN first. This is going to my switch, or that could go directly to your computer. And then I'll plug in my WAN, which is going to my modem. Plug that into the WAN port. Now also make sure you plug your computer into that switch, or again, plug it directly into your pfSense appliance. And now we're really getting into the fun parts because we're gonna be configuring our pfSense firewall. Let's do this. First, I'll make sure I actually got an IP address from my pfSense. So here on Linux, I'm gonna do IP address, and boom, right there, 192.168.1.10. If you're on Windows, it'll be ipconfig. Now let's fire up our web browser, and we're gonna go out to 192.168.1.1, the IP address, or the current IP address of our pfSense firewall. Yeah, it's insecure, I'll accept the risks. Let's do this. And here we are. Let's get signed in. Default login will be admin as the username, and the password will be pfSense, all lowercase. pfSense. Sign in. Ooh, it beeped at me. I feel like I'm configuring R2-D2. Now first things first, we got a little wizard, little Harry Potter magic to help us set this up. Let's go ahead and do this. This is super easy and basic and quick. So click on next right here. Yeah, you got support, we're not gonna pay for that. Click on next. Hostname, I like that hostname, pfSense, I'm gonna leave it that way. Domain, you can leave it at home.arpa, whatever. I'm gonna change mine to nocturnealley.local. Do you know what that means? Let me know below. Primary DNS server, I wanna set mine to Cloudflare's DNS, and then backup, Google's DNS. And I'm going to uncheck override DNS. Boom. Moving right along. Click on next. NTP server. I will use theirs. That's fine. And then check your time zone. I'm going to be in Central. Change that bad boy. Here we go. Yes. Click on next. Now for our WAN interface. Now here, for most of you, you won't change a dang thing. It's going to pull an IP address via DHCP from your modem or your router. For me, that's exactly what I want to happen. One more thing you might want to look at. As I scroll down to the bottom here, if your pfSense firewall does end up pulling a private IP address from your router, something like 192.168 or something like that, you'll want to uncheck blocking private IP addresses, but only in that case. I'm not doing that, so I'm going to leave it checked. Click on next. And now for our LAN interface. Woo, here we go. By default, it's going to say, hey, do you want 192.168.1.1? No, you stinking don't. Everyone has that, and guess what? Hackers know you have that too. So we're going to change that. We're going to hide it. Well, not hide it, we're just going to change it. Pick something that's in the private space. You can copy me exactly if you want to. I'm going to do 10.27.27.1. That'll be the IP address of my pfSense firewall on this interface. Again, you can copy me exactly if you want to. Subnet mask 24, golden. Click on next. And then lastly, admin password. We're going to change that sucker to something secure. Click on next. And bam, I told you that was easy. Just click on reload and it's going to reload. Coffee break. Little chilly though, it's been sitting there for a while. Congrats, your pfSense firewall is now configured. Yes, that wasn't a very long coffee break. So here at the bottom, we're gonna click on finish because we're finished. Done. Now what's gonna happen here, and don't let it scare you, is that we're no longer gonna be able to access the sucker on 192.168.1.1. Why? Well, because we just changed it. We changed it to 10.17.17.1 or whatever you changed yours to. Now what's going to happen here is pfSense applies the setting and reloads. It's going to try and hand out a new IP address to you through DHCP. It's going to be in that 10.17.17 subnet or whatever you set yours to. So I'm going to fire up my command line once more and just see if I got one. IP address. Did I get a new one? No, I did not. So I'm going to reset mine real quick. For Linux, I'm going to do sudo dhclient-r to release my current IP address. For Windows, it'll be ipconfig/release. Then I'll run sudo dhclient without the R to get me a new IP address. And for Windows, it'll be ipconfig/renew. Anyways, let's do IP address to see what I got. Bam! We are in the subnet. 10.27.27.10, that is us. Let's go see if we can access our pfSense firewall. Man, this is so fun. Anyways, I love networking. 10.27. Did I say 17 before? It's 27, I'm crazy. 10.27.27.1 is his new IP address. Rocking it. Yes, I'll accept the risks. And here we are. I'll log in with my new credentials, admin, and my new password. Beep. Oh, I love that. I love the feedback. And we're in. Yeah, copyrights and trademarks. Yeah, all that good stuff. Oh man, we're on fire. We got this. It's looking so good. This is pfSense, guys. This is amazing. Now, a couple things real quick. I want you to scroll down just a little bit. Here on our dashboard, we'll have a section called interfaces. Now, I'm gonna have my WAN blocked out because it is my real public IP address. But you'll know everything's working when you see an IP address here for your WAN. And of course, we'll have our LAN right here, which we just set that. We access that IP address. Now, I know this might seem very overwhelming. This is a crazy looking menu, all kinds of stuff going on here. Don't worry, you're gonna learn a lot about this as we configure some cool things. I'm gonna walk you through it, hold your hand. Don't feel overwhelmed. You're gonna have an awesome network by the time you're done watching this video, I hope. So anyways, real quick on the dashboard, tells us some fun stuff about what we're dealing with here. We can also customize that. We got a plus sign up here at the top, and we can add things to it. One thing you might wanna add, let me just go ahead and click on that, plus. Maybe you want to add interface statistics, which is always good to look at and fun. Click on that. There it goes. I'm gonna close this Netgate services and support thing right here. I don't like that. It's retrieving interface data. Ooh, pretty. Let's get prettier. I'm gonna add traffic graphs. Oh, look at that. Yes, sir. Now, real quick, the good news is that pfSense is active and running and your network is looking pretty good. Out of the box, it's awesome. Let me show you what we configured real quick so you can know how to get to it. The big thing we configured was our interfaces. Let's take a look at them. So if we go up here to the top in our menu, we've got interfaces. Click on that. We got three options, assignments, WAN, and LAN. Let's go ahead and click on assignments. And this is where we can make some interface changes. Here are the bad boys that we just configured, WAN and LAN. Let's go ahead and jump in LAN real quick. Click on him. And here he is. We can make changes if we want to. As I scroll down, we can see that, oh, there's his IP address. But he's already good. We don't need to configure him. If I go back, same kind of stuff for WAN. He's got DHCP configuration, blah, blah, blah. So if you did need to change that private IP address block thing down here, you can go back in here and change that. Now let me show you one more thing that was auto-configured for us through that wizard, and that was DHCP, which is how we hand out, or how our router here, Mr. pfSense, how he hands out IP addresses to all our devices. When they connect, like, hey, give me an IP address, and he's like, Here you go. One for you, one for you, one for you. Anyways, I'm sorry. So DHCP is pre-enabled on our LAN. Let's go take a look at that config so you know what it looks like, because it might be something you'll want to change in the future. So to find DHCP, we're going to go up to our menu here and go to services, and then click on DHCP server right here in the menu. And right here, here's our LAN, and then here's our DHCP config for it. We can see that it's enabled right now, which is perfect, and we know that because we got an IP address via DHCP. And if you scroll down, we can see all the information about it. One of the biggest things we care about is the range, or the pool of IP addresses that are being handed out. We're handing out 10 through 245, which means that IP addresses 1 through 10 and 246 through 254 are reserved or can't be assigned. And of course, we can change that at any time. We could add additional pools. We can customize DNS servers down here. And as you can see, you can get pretty crazy and advanced, but you don't have to, because the way it is now, it works. And then at the very bottom, you can assign static mappings for your devices. So if you have a device that you want to have just one IP address forever, never change, because they do change, they can change, you can make it static here. One more thing on DHCP. How do we know what IP addresses our devices pool? We can find that out by going up here to the status menu option, which will show us a lot of stuff. We'll spend a lot of time here actually. So click on status, and then within here we see DHCP leases. There we go. And bam, we should see one there. Or if you throw it into your network, you might see a bunch. But this right here is us, our computer that we plugged in. Awesome. And what's cool about this is if I did want this IP address to stay my IP address forever, I can do it from right here. I can make a static mapping by clicking on this little plus icon under actions. And this sucker will make it a static mapping. It's really cool. Now, if you want to stop the video here, you can, because your pfSense firewall and router is working great. It's good. But if you want to have a bit more fun, get a bit crazier, stick with me. Let's do this. Because now we're going to talk about some fun stuff like port forwarding. Maybe you have a website or something you want to access from outside your home, and you want to forward that port. How do we do that here? Super simple and easy. Watch this. So for port forwarding, we're going to go to our firewall menu option at the top here. Click on firewall and then NAT. N-A-T. Now we are going to come back and visit here quite a bit in this tutorial, but for now we're going to focus on port forward, first option. Now again, a port forward comes into place when you have something on your network, maybe it's a website, that you want to be able to access from the big bad wide internet, or you want other people to access. We have to tell our pfSense firewall to let traffic through to this guy, because by default he's going to block it like he should. It's what you want to happen, but sometimes you want to have stuff come through. We're going to punch a hole in our network. So real quick for demonstration, I'm going to spin up a quick little Python website. Python-m simple HTTP server, and I'll run that on port 8080. Bam, website running. So now let's create a port forward. I'm going to click on add right here. And like most things we see in pfSense, there will be a ton of options, but only a few you really need to worry about and care about. So for example here, in most port forwarding situations, it's going to involve your WAN port. So leave that as default. The first thing I'll change here is my destination port range. My website's running on port 8080, so I'm going to put that right here, port 8080. And then my redirect target IP. That's going to be the computer inside my network or the server or whatever it is that's hosting that website. Now for me right now, it's the one I'm using. So I'm going to put it right here, single host 10.27.27.10. That's me. And then finally that redirect target port, going to throw it in right here, do the same port 8080. And that's it. Pretty simple, right? Like, yeah, we could go crazy with other stuff, but we don't have to. I'll add a description right here just to make things look pretty, and then click on save. Now you'll see this a lot when you're configuring your pfSense router. It'll put a config in limbo for you and say, okay, when you're ready, go ahead and apply the changes, because you might have a few more changes you want to apply. I'm ready right now, so I'll click on apply changes. It's gonna do its thing. Probably already did it. So let's test it out. I've got an outside connection here. Gonna bring my browser over here, and let's go to it. The public IP, which I'm gonna hide from you. Go to port 8080, and bam, there it is. Port forward working like a champ. Okay, so port forwarding, man, in the books, we got that. Time for our next few things, like dynamic DNS and routing everything over VPN, which by far is the coolest feature ever. I love it. Anyways, let's do this. Now I'm gonna demo setting up Cloudflare because I talk about Cloudflare in like all of my videos, and to be able to have this hosted on your firewall is killer. Otherwise you need something else to do it, like a Raspberry Pi, which I have a video on that right here. So if you wanna do that, it's pretty cool, but this is cooler. It is, it just is. So anyways, to do this, we'll get back to our menu here and go to services. No surprise there. And then right here towards the middle, we have dynamic DNS. Click on that. This place is a ghost town. Let's change that. Let's click on add over here. Now you can configure most dynamic DNS providers on this. Like they have a whole list of like instructions right here for whatever you're gonna use. Again, we're focusing on Cloudflare. So let's change that. So up here, service type, where am I gonna be? Cloudflare, change that to Cloudflare. It's right here. Interface to monitor, WAN, that's how it's gonna be most of the time. And then the host name. What domain name are you going to have changed to your public IP? For me, mine's going to be pfSense and then theborough.cloud. which translates to pfsense.theburrow.cloud. That's my subdomain. If you wanted just the root URL, just theburrow.cloud, you would put an @ symbol right there. Take that away and just have the @ symbol, and then just leave your domain like that. Again, we have a ton of options that you can change, but you don't have to. Next thing I want to do is put in my username. This will be the email address I'm using for my Cloudflare account. And then the password. This will be your global API key on Cloudflare. Let me show you where that is. If you're hanging out in your overview page, you'll scroll down a little bit, and you'll see the option to get your API token. Now keep in mind, if you have one of those free domains from Freenom, this will not work. Cloudflare does not like you using their API with those free domains. And once you're here, you want the global API key. So we'll click on view and then prove that we're not a robot, which is really, really hard. Elon Musk has his work cut out for him. I'm a human. Let's find some trucks. That's a truck. That's a truck. Truck. I think I'm a human. Let's see. Invalid password. Dadgummit. I'll try it again. And once you have the API key, just paste it in there twice, and then just describe it. Good documentation is key. And click on save. And boom, it's working. I love it when it works the first time. It's the best. You'll know you're good when you see status green check mark, one of the best symbols in the entire world. Then you see your cached IP, which is your public IP address. Oh, and it looks so good. Let's try it out. I'll pull up my outside connection, pfsense.theburrow.cloud. And then I'll go to port 8080 to see if my NAT works. Damn! Yes! Oh, sorry, I love it when things work. So what I love about this is it's all just pfSense. It's one device doing all of that in my network. Control and power. It's amazing. Anyways, coffee break. Don't need more, but I'm gonna drink more. Now for my favorite part. It's the best part. Routing all of my traffic. All of it. Over VPN. My entire house will be encrypted, sucker. Take that ISP, you can't see my stuff. Let's do this. Now, disclaimer, every VPN provider will be a bit different. I'm gonna demo two here, because I have both of them. Private Internet Access and NordVPN. Both great options, I got links below, but the process should be very similar. Just refer to their documentation. They should have some for pfSense because it's very, very popular. That's why I love pfSense. Everybody supports it. Everyone supports it. I don't want to say everyone, but most people do. Now, before we do our VPN configuration, I want to show you my current IP address so we can verify it's actually going to work. So I'll go to DuckDuckGo, do a good old what's my IP address, and bam, right here, I'm gonna blur most of this out except for my last octet, which is 128. This should be different the next time we do this. First, we'll do private internet access. You will need an account. Let's go ahead and check it out, link below if you wanna get signed up. They're awesome. They are what I recommend. Okay, first step, we need to open up our private internet access pfSense official documentation. We'll be going off this loosely, so check the link below. And pretty much the only thing we're gonna do here is click on the default configuration. Go ahead and click on that. It's gonna download a zip file. Just gonna save that and open it up, and I'll extract it. Once you've extracted the file, you'll want to pick a location that's closest to you. For me, it's going to be, let's see, ustexas.openvpn or OVPN. I'm going to open that file, and here inside that file is everything I need for my connection. So keep that open, keep that handy. Let's keep moving along. Back here in pfSense land, yes. The first place we're gonna visit is up here, at our menu, click on System, and then click on Cert Manager. We're gonna add the private internet access cert right here. We'll need that for our configuration. Go ahead and click on Add over here on the right. Name it something descriptive like PIA or whatever, PIACA. And then our method, we're gonna change that. We'll change it from create to import. Now go back to that file we just opened. We're gonna find where it says begin certificate. We're gonna take all that, starting right here, and where it says end certificate, we're gonna end right there as well. We're gonna copy that. And then right here in the certificate data box, we're gonna paste it. Paste. Bam. Making sure we have both the end certificate and the begin certificate as part of it as well. And that's pretty much it. Scroll down, click on save, and it should look something like this, giving you all that good information. Now time to configure OpenVPN. So where do you think we're gonna go? Where do you think? Probably right up here where it says VPN. Click on VPN and then click on OpenVPN. From here, click on clients, and then we're gonna click on add because we're adding a client, which is our pfSense router. Now here, take a breath, take a drink of coffee real quick, just a little sip. Because if you see all this, as I scroll down, we got lots of stuff to configure, man. That's a lot. Don't worry, it's not too crazy. We'll do this together. The first big thing we're going to change is actually right down here where we have server, host, or address, because everything up there is fine. We're gonna open up our file again that we downloaded. Scroll to the top, and we'll find the server, which is right here on line 4 for me. Mine was us-texas.privacy.network. That's the server that I'm connecting to. Yours will be different based on what region you selected. So I'm gonna take that sucker, just the address there, copy it, and paste it there. Boom. And then looking back at that document, notice my port here at the end of that address was 1198, or is 1198. That's what my server port needs to be. So right now it's 1194. I'm gonna change that to 1198 right here. And then we're gonna jump on ahead to the description field. Just describe that sucker. PIA, that's all I'm gonna name it, that's it. And then our user authentication settings. This will be your PIA username and password. It's going to start with the P and have a string of numbers after it. I'm gonna go find mine real quick and paste it in there. I'm gonna blur mine out so you can't see it. And that's it, don't do anything else. Leave that authentication retry unchecked. Now for the cryptographic settings, let's spend some time here real quick. First, TLS configuration, that checkbox should be checked by default. Uncheck it, boom. Next, make sure the peer certificate authority here, and this little field right here matches what we imported earlier, the PIA-CA. So make sure you have that there in case you have other certificates in your repository. And then our data encryption algorithms. Now real quick, go ahead and refer back to that file we opened. Here in my file on line 9, I see the cipher is AES 128CBC. That's what you kind of want to match on your data encryption algorithms. Now let me show you. So right here is the one, here on the right side are the ones we have selected. Here on the left are the ones that we don't have selected just yet. Now PIA actually says that the AES 128 GCM is preferred. So I'm gonna keep that there, but I wanna take away the other ones by clicking on them. Goodbye, goodbye. And then I'm gonna add the AES 128 CBC. This one right here. Just gonna click that guy. Welcome, and that should be good. And then down here on the fallback data encryption algorithm, I'm just gonna select the 128 CBC as backup. And then right here for the auth digest algorithm, again, we're gonna refer back to our file we opened up. Here for me on line 10, there it is right there. It's telling me it wants SHA-1. We're gonna match that exactly. So click that box there and pick SHA-1. Perfect. If yours is different and the file you opened, match that. Now here for hardware crypto, if you do want to play around with using your hardware acceleration for cryptographic features, go for it. I'm not going to play with that right now. Next steps, we're going to scroll down just a bit because we don't really care about the tunnel settings. Ignore it all. Keep going. Actually, there is one feature. Right here, don't pull routes. Now here's a cool part about this configuration we're doing. You can put your entire network behind this VPN so that whenever someone goes out to the internet, they are protected, which is awesome. But sometimes you may not want that for a segment of your network. So if you want the ability to say these devices go through VPN and these don't, you want to make sure you have the don't pull routes checkbox checked. If you don't care, if you want your entire network to go through VPN, leave it unchecked. That's cool. I am going to show you how to segment parts of your network. Bam, I'm going to select that box. Okay, we are almost done, trust me. Scroll down just a bit. Keep going, keep going. Right here, advanced configurations. We're gonna paste something here in custom options. I'll have all this data in the links below. Just gonna paste that in here. You'll want all of this in the custom options. And then we're gonna keep scrolling down. I promise you we're almost done. Under gateway creation, we're gonna click IPv4 only. We don't care about that IPv6. It doesn't work with it anyway. And when I say it, I mean private internet access. Private internet access. And that was it. Like that's the last setting. So I'm gonna scroll down and click on save. Woo! Oh wait. Oh, I guess I had a blank space in my data encryption algorithms. Let me go. Okay, cool. If you had that there, you're in trouble, but you're fine. Okay, click on save. Oh yes, we did it. Now, how do we know it's working? How do we know our username and password was accepted? How do we know it's up? Well, we check the status, right? We'll go back up to our good old trusty status menu option right up here, and we'll click on Open VPN right here down towards the middle. And boom, I love this. Status up, yes sir. Shows me my real local address and then my fake private internet access address. This is what the internet's gonna see when I access stuff. Now, we're not ready yet. Yes, we have private internet access connected. Our pfSense router is a client of it, but our traffic isn't yet going across it. Let's make that happen right now. All right, now we're gonna navigate back over to interfaces. So right here at the top, menu option, interfaces. And we're gonna select assignments. And we're actually going to assign or set up a new interface. So here we have available network ports. We have a drop down here. We're gonna select that drop down and search for our new private internet access interface, which is right there, OpenVPN C1 PIA. And I'll click on add to add that bad boy. Done. Now what I wanna do real quick is jump in there. Notice how it gave a default name of opt1. I don't like that. So I'm gonna jump in there and do two things. We're going to enable it and we're going to rename it. Enable. And I'll name it PIA. And that's all we need here. Painless. Let's scroll down to the bottom, click on save, and then we'll click on apply changes to make sure this bad boy takes place. Coffee break. Done. Here we go. All right, now we're getting deeper into the network weeds. We're gonna talk about NAT, or network address translation. So for that, we're gonna go up to our menu once more and go to firewall. Yeah, love firewalls. Click on firewall and then click on NAT. Now we already came here once before, right? We did our port forward, but now we're focused on outbound internet traffic. Let's click on that bad boy. Now what we're doing here is we're making sure that when our IP address is here on our network, so it's gonna be 10.27.27.0/24, all these addresses in that subnet, when they go out to the internet, we need them translated to that one private internet access IP. It's going to share one IP address. Might be 154 dot, whatever. Pretend that's an IP address. We want them all to be translated to this. That's what NAT does, address translation. So let's make that happen right now. First thing we'll do is change the mode from automatic to hybrid outbound NAT. Now, one thing if you haven't noticed is that when you start configuring your own network with your own firewall and stuff, especially pfSense, you learn a ton about networking in the process, right? I mean, right now you're gaining a ton of knowledge if you don't already have it. Dude, it's awesome. And yeah, you might have more questions than you did before. That's good. As we're doing this, I'm not explaining everything because that would take forever, but I want you to write that down. Go research it yourself. I've got a networking course on my YouTube channel, my CCNA course, where you can dive deeper into these topics. It's awesome. Anyways, let's continue. I'll get off my soapbox. Okay, so with our hybrid setting, we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna add some mappings. Now notice we have automatic rules, which we're not going to touch, leave those alone. We're gonna add some manual mappings right here. So go ahead and click on add. First thing we'll do is change the interface from WAN to PIA. There she is, PIA, the one we created. Next place we're gonna visit is right down here under source. We're going to add a network here in this field. This is gonna be for local host traffic. 127.0.0.0 will be the subnet, and we'll change this 24 over here to 8. Bam. And that's pretty much it. We're gonna scroll down and click on save. Now don't apply just yet, we got a few more rules to add. We're gonna duplicate this rule we just created by clicking on the two papers right here to copy it. Over here on the right, go ahead and click on that. We're gonna change one thing here. Under destination, we're gonna add a port to that destination. It'll be port 500, which is for ISAKMP traffic. We'll then scroll down here just a bit, and under translation, we're gonna check the static port box, and then click on save. And now just two more rules we're gonna add, so don't worry, we're almost done. We'll click on add once more, and this will be the actual rules that will NAT or translate our LAN traffic, our 10.27.27, whatever you have, to PIA's internet IP address, and then to the internet. So here we go. Same as before, we're gonna change our interface from WAN to PIA. And then for the source, we're gonna add our own network right here. Again, mine was 10.27.27.0, and for most of you, it'll be /24, which is already there. And that's it. We're gonna scroll down to the bottom, click on save, and then we're gonna do that same thing we did before with our local traffic. We're gonna click on the copy icon next to that newly created rule to duplicate it, and we're gonna change the same stuff. Over here on destination port, we're going to add 500 for ISAKMP, and we'll scroll down just a bit, click on static port under translation, and then click on save. Yours should look just like this. And you know what? I realized I forgot to save my hybrid configuration, so I want to make sure I do that. And then click on save. So cool. The rules were kind of grayed out there for a second. Okay, and then I'll click on apply changes, and it's doing it. Now, we're not quite there. Just hold tight. We got a few more things to do. So we're done with NAT. Now we're going to look at firewall rules. So we'll scroll back up to the top here, back to our menu, go to firewall, and select our rules section. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, I want to show you aliases. Yes, let's do that. So click on firewall and then click on aliases. This is simply a way for us to group a bunch of IP addresses together or networks together and say, this is this network. We're just labeling them, kind of grouping them together, putting them in a Ziploc bag. That's what we're doing. So here I'll just click on add and I'll say PIA_people. I'm gonna specify which part of my network, which addresses I want to be sent across the private internet access VPN. Now notice here when I select type, right now it's defaulted to host, so individual IP addresses. I can actually specify a bunch of different options like ports and URLs and entire networks. For now, I wanna do individual hosts. Just keep it simple. So I'll do 10.27.27, and I'll say 10, and I'll do 10.27.27. Let's say through 20. So that range, 10 through 20, is gonna go through my private internet access VPN. So I'll click on save here, and then apply, and boom, we just created an alias, which again, is just a group, a labeling of hosts, networks, whatever. And we can reference that later in our rules. Let's do that. And actually real quick, we can go back and reference our PIA people, or whatever group we have here, our alias, and our NAT rules. I'll go change that real quick for me. You don't have to do this, but I want you to keep it clean. So I'm going back to firewall and NAT, click on outbound once more, look at my rules. So here I have my source, 10.27.27.0. It's my entire LAN network. I want to change that rule. Click on the little pencil icon, go down here, and here in the source network, I'll just start typing PIA, oh, there it is, PIA people. Bam. And we'll change the 24 to a 32 because these are individual hosts. And I'll click on save. And I'll make that same change to the second rule there. Change the network, the subnet, and save. And we'll apply those changes just to make that thing cleaner. Now we're ready for firewall rules. So go up here to the top, click on firewall, and then select rules, firewall and rules. And we're gonna click on LAN, our LAN rules. Each network will have its own set of rules. And here we're gonna add 2 rules. So go ahead and click on add over here on the right, add. Just a couple things we're gonna change here, like every time, right? First is the protocol. We're gonna change that from TCP to any, because we want all kinds of network traffic to go across. Any. We'll scroll down a bit and we'll configure our source. So we're gonna click the drop down and change this from any to a single host or alias. And our alias will be the alias I created earlier. Now, if you're not doing an alias, if you just want to do an entire network, you can do like LAN net, and that'll be your entire LAN network. You don't have to worry about it. For me, I wanted a subset of my network, so alias, PIA, people. There we go. And we'll scroll down just a bit. First, we'll describe it, because we gotta be descriptive here. PIA, people, traffic. And then we're gonna click on advanced. We're getting advanced. Here we go. Display advanced. We're gonna scroll down until we see, again, lots of stuff we're going to ignore. Scroll down until we see, where are you at, buddy? Gateway, right here. Right here for gateway, we're gonna change that from default to PIA VPN v4. This will be using something called policy-based routing, which we cannot cover right here. But basically it's gonna override what the system would normally do and tell it to go out private internet access. And speaking of gateway, we're about to talk about that. Anyways. We're gonna scroll down, click on save, amazing, ready to go. And we're gonna add one more rule. You see, just in case my private internet access connection goes down, I don't want these people to suddenly just start going out the raw internet, being all without clothes and stuff. No. We're gonna block them if they can't go out that place. Let's do that. So we're gonna add one more rule, click on add once more, and I'll print our action right here. And so far we've just done like pass, like yeah, allow it to happen. Now we're gonna tell the firewall to block that sucker. So let's change it to block. Once again, we'll change our protocol to anything, not just TCP traffic. If you don't know what that is, I got a video talking about TCP and UDP. Check it out up here somewhere. So change to any. Our source, for me, again, it's gonna be a single host or alias, and it'll be my PIA people. For you, it could be the entire network, that's fine. I'll describe it, no internet for you, PIA people, and click on save. Now, make sure, little firewall lesson here. The firewall rules are processed top down. The way it is right now, the first rule that it hits applying to my PIA people is the one that says, we're gonna block you. Notice the X over here, the description I put there, it's gonna block people. So before it even gets to the rule allowing them to go out to PIA and access the internet, it's blocked. So what do we do here? Well, we change the order. So all we gotta do is select my good rule, the one allowing it, and just drag it to just above the block rule. So they're allowed, and if the gateway's down, they're blocked. Then I'll save those changes, apply those changes, and we're solid. Now I mentioned gateways. There's one thing we have to do with gateways, and I know this feels like a forever thing. pfSense is complicated, networks are complicated, so as we're doing all this, yes, follow along, but yeah, go back and try to figure out what we were doing before. I'm not gonna explain everything, but anyways, let's go up here to status to check on the status of our private internet access gateway, because we do have one. Go on status, and then click on gateways. Now notice something here. Our WAN gateway status is online, it's healthy, but PIA, it's pending. I don't like that. I want it to show online, so we have to change just one setting here to make sure it shows that. We have to change a setting in the gateway. So we're gonna go up here to System and our menu and select Routing. Ooh, love that word. And look at that, we got our gateways right here hanging out. And one of those gateways is our PIA VPN gateway. We're gonna edit that guy. So click on the little pencil icon. We're gonna pencil in something here. And we'll scroll down just a bit to where we see monitor IP. Here we're gonna give it an IP address to monitor to make sure the internet's up. So if it can reach 1.1.1.1, which is Cloudflare's DNS, which is a very popular IP I always use to test internet connectivity, and if it can reach that through this gateway, then PIA is up. So we're gonna add that. You can use the IP address, that's fine. Scroll down, click on save, and then click on apply changes. So now when we go back over to status and gateways, PIA will eventually show up. I'll give it a second. So a couple coffee sips later, if I refresh the page a few more times, bam, PIA is online. Beautiful. Now, what do you say we test a few things out? So real quick, let me make sure this is coming through. Let's go to firewall again, click on rules, go back over to LAN. PIA people, if I hover over that, that's so cool, right? It shows me all the addresses in there. Right now, 10.27.27.12, that's me. Like if I pull up my command prompt here, do IP address once more, let me zoom in a bit. That is who I am. Theoretically, I should be going through that, right? I should be going through PIA. So let's see if I am. Let's see what my public IP address is. Remember before the final octet was 128 or .128. That's the end of my IP address. That's my actual IP address for my actual internet. But if I'm going through PIA, I should see something different. So let's get back out to DuckDuckGo, type in, what is my IP address? Yes, look at this. It now ends in .232, different location. So awesome. Yes, it works. My internet traffic is going over private internet access. I'm not running the client on my machine here. It's running off this bad boy right here. And I can't do anything about it. unless I change my IP address. Now, one of the many amazing things about pfSense is that you can install packages, third-party things on top of your already amazing firewall to add functionality. One of those things we're gonna play with right now is called Service Watchdog. Like any good watchdog, it's going to watch a particular service that we specify and make sure it stays up, and if it doesn't, if it crashes or something, it's gonna bring it back up. It's gonna keep an eye on it. So we're gonna do that right now. We're gonna do it for private internet access. We want that VPN to always be up, and if it goes down, bring that sucker back up. So let's install our first package, and it's super simple and easy, like everything. I know some of the firewall stuff was a bit heavy. It's okay though. So we're gonna first go to System up here at the top left. Click on System and then click on Package Manager. Now currently I have no installed packages. I wanna click on Available Packages. Look at all these things. You could have a video dedicated to some of these things, like an entire video. So awesome. But we want one thing right now. Let's scroll down to the S's. Service Watchdog right here. I'm gonna click on Install to install that guy. Confirm, quick coffee break. It's not gonna take long, trust me. Done, it's already done, Cool, cool, cool. Now where these packages end up depend on what kind of service they offer. Now this particular service is gonna be under services. So if we go to the top here, click on services, we'll find it there. There he is right there, Service Watchdog. And all we gotta do is give it a service to watch. We gotta train our puppy here to look at private internet access to keep him up. Let's add a new service. Let's click that drop down box and find him. OpenVPN, client PIA. Yes, sir. Click on add. And now it will be restarted automatically if it crashes or anything. And we could also have it notify us via email if something goes awry. I'm not gonna do that right now, but dude, that's so cool. Now, one more thing I wanna show you with our dashboard. We'll go to status, go to dashboard. I'm gonna add something to my dashboard here real quick. I'm gonna add OpenVPN over here on the left. Now, first of all, notice as I scroll down through my traffic graphs, it's got PIA there. That's so cool. I can know that stuff's going across that interface. Also down here, I've got my OpenVPN client instance statistics. Man, 10 times fast. How cool is that? Now, I did say I was gonna show you NordVPN and how to set that up. That's gonna make this video a bit longer than I want it to be. So tell you what, I'm gonna have an extended version of this video on my membership site, completely free. Check the link below, get signed up, and you can watch the extended NordVPN version. Not very different from private internet access, but there are a few details, a few things that are different that you need to know. But it won't be huge. So if you saw all this, it's gonna be the same kind of situation. Now, last few things with pfSense. I wanna go back to our packages. Let's go to System, go to Package Manager, and we'll look at our available packages. As I said earlier, there are a ton of things here that you can play with and go crazy. Dude, Acme, you can get some Let's Encrypt certificates automatically. Oh my gosh, so many. Some things I wanna have on here though that are just fun. First of all, Nmap is in here somewhere. Where'd he go? Nmap? Dude, you can install Nmap on your pfSense firewall. I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna click install it, confirm it, yeah. So you can do Nmap scans on your network. That's awesome. If you don't know what Nmap is, I got a video right here. Shows you how to do it. It's a network utility, but it's often used by hackers to do some network reconnaissance. There we go. Bam, Nmap is installed. Awesome. Let's take a look at some more. I think there's one more I wanted to show you. It's kind of cool. Oh, yeah, duh. Now, by default, your pfSense firewall is pretty secure, but if you want to add more services or more things in your network that rely on things coming into your network, so you're allowing the internet to come inside your home network, like port forwarding things, that becomes dangerous. Because at that point, it becomes more difficult for you to protect your network if you're allowing stuff into it. So you'll want things like this, a next generation firewall, pfBlocker NG. It's free to install, totally awesome. It is different. You're gonna have to learn how to configure it, but by default, it does pretty great. So if you are allowing things into your network from the outside, if you're doing some cool services and having fun, putting something like this gives you a huge peace of mind. There's also other stuff. I mentioned earlier, if we scroll down here, we've got Snort, which is open source. I believe Cisco bought them and implemented them into their services. So yeah, Snort's awesome. Yeah, it's part of their firepower, I believe, yes. Squid and SquidGuard are awesome. And Suricata, heard some great things on that. Actually, Lawrence Systems did a bunch of videos on Suricata and pfBlocker if you want to learn more about those things. I'm not gonna cover them right here, right now. Again, all these things could be their own video. But yeah, that is pfSense, an amazing open source free firewall software that you can install on pretty much anything, especially one of these beautiful boys right here, Beastly network appliances, and you get control over your network. It's just fun. Most of the projects I mentioned here for like geeking out in your house involve your router and doing some stuff in your network. It's hard to do that when you don't have a router that can do cool things like dynamic DNS and other stuff. It's so powerful, dude. It's awesome. So if you can, replace your home router with something like this. Now, I know many of you will wonder, well, Chuck, I thought you were a big Ubiquiti guy. I am. I have both in my network right now. I have Ubiquiti, I have pfSense. I love them both in their own ways. I tell you this right now, Ubiquiti with the Dream Machine Pro cannot do the private internet access thing. It can't put all your traffic on VPN. It can't do that. I've tried. This bad boy can do it without blinking, man. I love it. And plus, I'm a huge fan of open source. I love Linux-based things. It's so fun. Anyways, that's all I got. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments below. Whew. This might have been a long video, I'm not sure. So my video editor will let me know and let you know here soon. And make sure you hack YouTube today. Hit that like button, notification bell, subscribe, comment. You gotta hack YouTube today, ethically, of course. Now again, I know there's so much more to pfSense and what we can do with it. I mean, it's pretty much an enterprise grade firewall. And there are some configs that you will want to do, especially if you have IoT in your house, if you want to segment different devices in your network, you want to take advantage of things like VLANs. So yeah, you want to do that. So I'm going to have, again, an extended version of this video in my membership below. Free, sign up. I would put it here in this video, but it'd be way too long and I don't want to do a seminar. So yeah, and that's all I have because I've had way too much coffee. I'll catch you guys next time.